What does it take to balance faith, career, and purpose in a foreign country? Today, I'm sitting here with a woman who is working in the German government in the Hamburg City Hall. But beyond her title, she's a woman of faith with over 20 years in ministry, shaping lives while navigating power, pressure, and purpose. This conversation is something you don't want to miss. Welcome to the Lapotee Show, where we have real conversation, honest, and sometimes ask uncomfortable questions. Today's guest is someone with a unique story. She's a German born with Ghanaian roots. She's lived in the UK for some time, and now she's based here in Germany. And like I said earlier on, she's working in the German government in the Hamburg City Hall as the chief of staff to a member of parliament and also part of the Department Justice. So I'll say, Petra, it's nice to have you on Lapotee Show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
It's a pleasure to be here.
Who is Petra beyond all these things that I've said? Right?
Yeah, Petra is just a young girl, visionary, has dreams like anybody else, who wants to achieve things, who sees other people that inspire her and wants to touch many lives as possible.
But being a German
Yeah.
and having a Ghanaian roots, where have you always felt like you belonged?
I think most of us German-born Ghanaians, we've had the struggle of navigating both. So in school, you learn the German way, the language, the culture, and at home, you're African. Like the rules of your African parents are what rules, right? So you learn your native mother tongue, you learn the things like don't greet with your left hand, you have to use your right hand, be respectful. Then you go to school, then you're told, freedom of speech, speak your mind, there are rules that can protect you. So it's not been easy finding your identity, but I think some of us have now made the best of it using best of both worlds. So the good in the African home and the good from the German home, German culture.
How did your time in the UK shape your mindset and your faith?
So the UK actually was my transformative years where I was grounded in my faith. So in Germany, we were going to church every week. I learned about God. I learned about his second coming. But it was in the UK where I think I developed a personal relationship with him because, again, the representation is there. The churches have lots of events. Like you even get event fatigue. And so learning, having Bible studies, having like-minded people was what kind of drew me in to say, I want to be in youth ministry. I want to be there for young people. I want to be somebody I wish I had when I was younger. And that's how I kind of got into it. So being in the UK was good because I remember the first week I was there, we switched on the TV. I saw BBC and there was a black woman. I went to the bank, NatWest, there were black people. I go to the supermarket, there are black people. So you're seeing all these things and in your mind you're thinking, okay, so we can do all these things other than the roles and the jobs that we see our mothers, aunties, and uncles doing here in Germany. So I think that was very, very, it impregnated something in my mind where I was like, okay, I can aspire to be more than that. Yeah.
It's quite interesting you put it that way, but we have a lot of Africans here as well who is not going towards that trajectory. You know what I'm saying? If you have to look at Africa, for most people that we know that are into church activities, some people are doing it just because of the fear. But you know how the system works here. You got to go to work, you got to get paid. So you don't see the essence to want to go to church more and feel like, I got to give my life to God. I got to pray because that's my only way maybe I can survive. Like the system is working here. So I'm just asking, how come you are different? Like you didn't, even though you're born here, you can get everything, access to whatever you want once you work. You still have this faith and you try to go towards that trajectory, putting your part in the Lord's house, that kind of a thing.
That's actually an interesting perspective. So you're saying people rather go to church because they want something
because
from
they believe
God.
in, they're hoping something,
something from God. I think we all start off with a desperation for something in our lives, be it a broken heart. A lot of young girls turn to God when the guy has disappointed them and they realize, oh my God, I'm devastated. I can't move on without him because he said he cannot live without me. Now he's living. He said he will never leave me. Now he has left. But I think once you start that way, you move beyond it. You get to a point where you realize, okay, God is your everything. You put all your faith in him and you develop a relationship with him. And I think that's why I believe I was able to say, okay, I've moved from the devastation to realizing who God truly is.
We want to find out what's Petra's zone. Was it a guy that broke a heart and got to give my life to Christ?
That's a good question. Well, I think we all have desperate moments. So I did have a period of time here in Germany where it became a little bit difficult. Like every teenager, you clash with your parents, and mine kind of escalated, which then opened the door for me, my parents to say, you know what, we're removing you from Germany. You go to the UK.
No, okay.
So yeah.
Okay, that's good. We have that out of the way. So I just want to find out, was this career path always part of your vision? Like,
I think I always had in my mind that I wanted to do something greater than what I see in my immediate circle or surrounding me. And I believe most people like myself, we watched American TV. And so you see the Americans flourishing, you see the Americans doing great things, you see the lawyers, the professors. So I think through the Cosby Show, don't know if you know it.
Oh, I know the
Dr.
Cosby. Who
Huxtable,
doesn't know? Yeah.
beautiful wife, Claire Huxtable. So I was like, wow, she's a mother, she's a wife, she's a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
I want to be like that. So I
Oh,
think that was like the first set of inspiration that I've got where I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, but I knew there was something about that I wanted to embody when I grow up.
It's interesting rather that you come from that direction. I've had this on this platform. Other people decide to go into the path of ministry just because that's what their folks were into, their parents. But you on the other hand, it wasn't actually to say, maybe you say you came from a background whereby you have people in that direction. It was based on what you saw on television that made you go that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. What does your role as a chief of staff involve in the day in, day out, every day? Like,
actually, so that role, I think the beauty of it is that because it's all new to us, we're able to create it and make it our own. Obviously, there are certain things that come with it, but I'm more of her right hand, her assistant, sometimes second brain. And I have to say, I feel very privileged and honored and also humbled to have this position and to be part of history because she's the first Black female MP in Hamburg. You know, so to be part of that is just amazing. I can actually give you a backstory to it. So I moved back to Germany in 2019 with the intention to just stay for 3 months.
oh, okay.
Obviously things happened. So my company in the UK opened an office in Hamburg, and they said,
okay.
oh, you know what, we'd be happy for you to go and strengthen the team there. And then at the time my mom wasn't well, so I said, is it possible for me to just go to Germany for a little bit? I had plans, you know, I said, I'm going to come, I'm going to help, I'm going to do exercises, get her to lose weight. And then they said, oh, it's going so well, we want you to stay longer. So I was scheduled to finish around November 2019, December, and then move back. I said, great. What I wanted to do, I haven't even finished. So I will stay longer. So I got a new contract in, I forgot, maybe January, maybe November, December, to stay longer for like a year. After that, as we all know, 2020 hit us all with the all known pandemic. And I think everybody's life was just turned around. Yeah. So then the uncertainty surrounding it made me stay longer. I didn't know where to turn. I think like everyone else, you just have to, you know, hit the reset button as to what is my life. Because I think up until that point, people's identity, including myself, was what I did, my work, you know. Like you go somewhere, people always asking you, what are you doing? What do you do for life? What do you do for work? What do you do? So yeah, I was devastated because I didn't think life was going to go like that. One thing I always swore myself was I never wanted to be on benefits. But when that happened, I was forced to go and apply for benefits. So it was quite tough. But God being so good, I had 3 more roles that I got in. Unfortunately, got laid off, got another role, got laid off after a car accident. So there was so many things happening. I was like, God, what are you trying to do with my life? It's very hard. Like, I didn't come here to suffer. I came to actually flourish, you know, save money as well. But I was in Papaye. And you know the Papaye setting, the tables are quite close. So I was there with my friend, we were conversing, and then there was another person with another friend having dinner as well, and they were talking about politics. And I studied politics and international relations and also made a master's in international law and international relations. So I said, you know what? I said to them, excuse me, and I apologize for eavesdropping, but I just overheard you talking about politics. And I've been back in Germany and I've been trying to find my footing and my path. do you know who I can speak to? And then the person was Dr. Amma.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
know
she
Dr.
goes,
Amma,
oh,
right?
I have some friend. I know somebody I can connect you to. We should exchange numbers. So we exchanged numbers. I never saw her again.
Oh, okay.
And this was in 2021.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in 2024, we go to Papaya's celebration.
Okay.
And I see her and I said, hey, she said, hi. Oh, this is the person I was telling you about. You should come and meet her. Lo and behold, it was Miss Irene Appiah, Honorable, I should say, Honorable Irene Appiah. And she said, do you have any ambitions? I said, well, I'm trying to find my foot. I want to learn more. She goes, okay, I've got a task for you. If you can do that, then I guess we can work together. So immediately she said, I want to do this. I want to do that. What do you think about it? Can you? So I just took the role on, not even being employed or anything, just voluntarily doing it. Yes. And it was exciting because it was new, it was fresh. We could make it our own, and that's how I started working with Irene. So yeah, it wasn't a clear path. It wasn't like, but beside that, I also work at the Department of Justice, as I mentioned, and that's my main job. So working with the MP is actually my side job.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about two different roles here.
Yes.
Yeah. So like you're just one out of 1,000, because it's not everybody who happens to get an opportunity or that chance to work in that field. For most Africans coming here, it's all about survival, but you on the other round, you break grounds and you'll be able to find yourself. So I can say, congratulations, you've done yourself good.
Thank
there.
you very much.
Yeah.
But I have to also say, when I came back to Germany, I remember at Jungfernstieg, I went to the Haspa and I saw a black girl and I said, oh, finally, we have, black people in the space, but I don't see it there anymore. But at that moment, I said, okay, I think Germany is slowly getting ready for that progress.
Because it's like you said, you're right. It's very common in the UK to see, a lot of Africans or black people occupying bigger positions. Space. If I say bigger, but even in the government, but it's not a very common thing here. You know? So like I said, you are one of 1,000, one of 1,000,000. So I'm sure my viewers are watching. Somebody's going to be motivated and be like, okay, if Lady Petra can be there, I can always work my way there. And we're not just going to settle for just working as social nurses and stuff like that. Yes. But
even that, I have to congratulate the Kita people and the nurses, because back then it wasn't common. They wouldn't even give you the opportunity. Yeah. So I think we have a lot of teachers now, a lot of social workers, as you said. And I think that's also a big achievement.
Why do you think here in Germany, compared to UK, Africans don't get the chances to go in those sections, like you said?
Various reasons. And I think everybody's path is different, but we have the language barrier. That's one. Then there's a culture. Then there's discrimination and racism. We have to call it as it is. And I think certain people want to preserve certain roles for their own people. So that's why I said kudos to those that have managed to, break those. Get to that level. It's not easy.
That's good. What would surprise people about working in the Hamburg City Hall?
I think, I don't know, do you watch Ghanaian politics sometimes on YouTube?
I do, yeah.
And you see how they're being loud and stuff?
That kind of a thing.
I think you'd be surprised to see that they do the same.
You don't see. You don't see.
You do the same there. Yeah. That surprised me when they were going at it head to head. You have the right wing saying what they want to say. And then, so that was interesting for me to see that.
How they civilized about it? Because most of the times when you watch African people in that section, sometimes you see people go blow to blow. Sometimes it gets physical. Sometimes do you ever witness anything like this?
I haven't witnessed any blows, but I've witnessed heated debates. Yes, and then obviously the president there can then say, "Please calm down, let the person speak." Yeah.
Okay. So as an African woman, deep-rooted, working there, do you ever find yourself in a situation where you feel like you have to prove yourself?
Definitely, but I think the proving was leading to that, So as I said, I worked for Ms. Appiah for 6 months, I believe, voluntarily, before the elections came, before she was even able to put together her team. But prior to that, I think everything I did in church, all my other careers that I did, was me setting myself up for this opportunity, I believe. And so my dad always said, even when I was in school, when a white person gets, let's say, a grade 3, you should not be happy having grade 3. You should always aim for higher, because when you have 3 and they have 3 and you go for job interview, they're going to take the person that has a 3. And so that's always been at the back of my mind, that I have to be an overachiever. I have to do more. I have to, I
feel like that's the pressure on Africans, because like you said, you always have to make sure that, you are always becoming better. Because I always have this thing I say, like, if two people go for an employment or a position and there are two people, one is an African and one is a white person, of course, I mean, it's obvious they're going to give it to the white person unless you are super better than. I mean, we even have this thing sometimes in Africa happen, even in Ghana. We have this ethnicity thing. Someone is a Ghana, someone is an Ewe. You go into an office. If it's an Ewe person, it's an Ashanti person.
Yeah.
You are likely to get the position because you're an Ashanti.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so-
even had an experience with my name because my name is very German.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
so when I apply,
Okay.
they expect a German person.
Is your surname German as well?
Yes.
Oh,
So
I
when
guess
they
that's a story for another day. How you came about a German surname?
when they
Okay.
see me, they go, oh. So I remember being in the UK. I applied for a job here. I came for the interview. They looked at me. They said, "How can we help you?" I said, "Well, I'm here for the job." And they go, "Oh, so you're Miss Link?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Oh, have a seat." And yeah, the rest is history. Yeah.
Maybe someday I think I have to give my kids German names as well.
That's probably.
Yeah, speaking earlier on, you mentioned something about church, and I just want to ask you: have you ever found yourself in a situation where you have to make a tough decision between your faith and your career?
Yes, I do. So I am Seventh-day Adventist. So we
okay.
worship on the Sabbath, which is Saturday.
Oh, okay.
You know, and we believe that the ending of the day is when the sun goes down the day before, which is on Friday evenings. Can be a little bit difficult because those are, you know, they have programs on Friday evenings, then they have meetings on Saturdays. Because in Germany, you know, some of them work 6 days, which is also including Saturday. And so that's been a tough one for me where I've had not been able to attend meetings on Sabbath or where I've not been able to go vote when there's something happening there. So that's been something I have to take a stand for. But at the same time, it's been a blessing because none of it has ever really impacted me negatively. So God has always looked out for me in that way.
Okay, you just heard that from Lady Petra. God has always looked out for her. So
right.
if you're someone and you're standing in faith, you don't just put one leg here, one leg there. When the time came to make a tough decision, like you said, God stood in for her.
Amen.
Yes. So can you truly or boldly say that it's possible to live faithful life and still work in a structured system like
Politics.
yeah, just asking, yeah.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I guess it depends on your ambition. I don't know what it's like at the top, but for where I am right now, you can. And, you know, with the team, with the things that we want to do, we've really been given free will, and you know, we can be creative. In terms of what we do, like making sure Miss Appy is seen, you know, social media, people telling people about her and all that stuff. So at the moment, yes, you can definitely live a structured life and be able to have your faith as well.
Well, now that I know that we're talking about two things, you said you are working in the Department of Justice.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I think I'm talking more in that direction.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there as well. In fact, there even more so because that one, I mean, I work, I'll do my job. I've not yet faced any challenges in that way where I can say that it's impacting my faith in any way. So that
Okay.
way.
But do you think many Africans are hiding behind their faith to fit in here?
I mean, you mentioned something earlier, which I haven't really thought about that much, but you know, when you're saying people are going to church, because maybe they are, maybe sometimes people would rather just pray and not put action. And I think you need to do both. You have to pray and believe that what you've put in God's hands, He will do. But you also have to get emotion, because only when you're in motion that someone else will see, you know, like with your podcast, you're putting it out there, someone will see and say, hey, this guy is doing a good thing. Maybe I can collaborate with him. If you weren't doing anything, nobody would see you. Today, everything is about visibility, content. So I believe that as Christians, especially Africans, we pray a lot. Like when I went to Ghana, there's a church at every corner, and people are praying day, night, evening, every day of the week. They're doing, you know, prayer services, anointing services. I was like, wow, this is good. But they also need to do other things, and I think that's what we need to get.
But you know, somebody will argue to that fact and say that as much as there are church in every corner, there are bars in every corner as well, you know. That's true. Your experience and what you've been through and what you're doing here, what do you think, or do you think there's something that the Africans that are here are getting wrong?
I think so. I think our parents did a great job. They opened the way, they tried their best. They aimed for where they could. But I think they went they had a cap on what they thought we could achieve. Some I would say. Well, for example, buying a house. They were like, oh, if you thought it was that easy, we would have all bought a house. But now the kids are buying houses. Sometimes there's a lack of, I don't want to say knowledge, but, knowing the system fully. I think their system at the time was residential, being able to stay, have permanent stay. And our needs and wants are different now. We want the houses, we want the cars, we want the careers, we want the family. So I think that's where that generation put a line to how much we can achieve. And our generation now, I think, is losing it. I mean, it's now fun and trendy to be African because of social media. There was a time in the 90s, people were ashamed to be Africans. They would rather lie and say they're from somewhere else rather to say that they're from Africa. Whereas there have been some of us who have been very, strong in believing that, yes, being from Africa is something to be proud of. So I think that's something some of the parents need to instill in their child from young. Let them know who they are, where they're from, and how important it is, and how beautiful it is as well. So yeah.
It's good you came, or you said that from that perspective, saying the limitations is all based from the parents and stuff. But aside moving up from the parents and the youngs coming right now, do you think that people are playing too safe here in Germany as an African, playing too safe?
Yes and no. I think some are playing it safe, but I also think the opportunities are not given them sometimes. I think the people are trying. For example, if you want to study law, it takes you like 10 years. UK, you do a 3-year bachelor, then you move on to do your postgrad, then you get 2 years of, what's it called? You do your posting, like, 6 months here, 6 months there. And before you know it, you're through. Whereas here, if you fail the general exam, you have to go and sit it again. I think you can only sit it 3 times. So there's limitations with the system. But at the same time, I think we also need to strive higher and go, believe that we can achieve things.
So you believe people are playing safe? Because based on what you said, if you fail and you have to take you another time to do it, I mean, someone would say that the Germans or the indigens are still doing it. So I think it still boils down, like you said, people are playing too safe.
That's what I said. Yes and no to a certain degree, because I think the issue with Germany is that it goes nowhere. So if you learn German law, you're confined here.
So can we say that comfort is becoming the enemy of growth to most Africans that are here?
I think now people are doing more things. I think back in the days, yes. For sure. I think back in the days, it was you're going to be a cleaner. You wouldn't even dare to want to be a nurse. You wouldn't dare to become a doctor. You wouldn't dare to do all these things. And even if you tried to become those things, the system at that time would have restricted you. So I think yes and no. You have both. You have the young people that want to live on benefit and want to pop out the babies, but you also have those that are striving and trying to do things. Again, social media showing us what other people in different countries are doing. So, yeah.
So you think things have changed and people are not playing?
I think things have changed, yeah.
Okay, that's good. And you spending 20 years in ministry, what has that taught you?
Yeah. It has definitely deepened my relationship with God. It's also taught me that it's not a straight line, that it's you're always learning. You never really get to a point where you can say, I know everything at this point. God reveals himself in different ways and you get to know different people as well. So mainly I was working for our EGACOM, which is the European Ghanaian congregations in Europe. That's all the Adventist churches in Europe come together once a year at a camp. Before we used to go to Italy, France, Germany. Now we're mostly going to the Netherlands. And it's been an experience, planning those events. I had a great team. We were working together. Everybody had their thing. So with that, you're working with people, you're getting to know characters, interpersonal relationships. And you also learn about yourself. Like maybe I can be very impatient with things. You work with pastors. But most importantly, with these events, like it was geared at touching the lives of young people. And I saw it as a pit stop where you stop, you get your energy, and then you go back and move on with life. Yeah.
Looking at you, nobody will argue the fact that you are young, beautiful, and ambitious young lady. And
Yeah.
someone will ask, why are you so grounded in ministry?
I think I'm grounded because every time I try to do it my own way, God showed me, hey, get back on track because you can't do without me. And I've had multiple experiences where I realized that I have to rely on God and no one else.
Okay, I see. What kind of impact do you want to leave behind?
I would like for someone to see that it is possible to be strong in your faith and it's possible to also achieve your goals and your dreams. And yeah, how important it is to just show the light of God because he says that we're the salt
Of
of
the
the world.
air.
Yeah. And we're supposed to change places, that we enter places and we change it for the better. We move the atmosphere. People say, well, when this person arrived, I felt something, If it's kindness, be kind. If it's being helpful, be helpful. Yeah, I think that's our mission here. So
That's
that
good.
people can also believe that this higher being is there. Yeah.
Like I said earlier on, you've done yourself good. I mean, so what would you say to a young African person here in Germany that is also trying to find her path?
I would say it's not going to be easy. It's not a straight line and it's different for everyone. Definitely different for everyone. You know, don't put pressure on yourself because you see other people doing it their way. Pray to God if you're a believer. Map out what it is that you want to do and see yourself before you even get there. See yourself before you even get there. And also it's okay if it's not conventional. I think back in the days it was being a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, pilot. But now, yeah, there's different paths. So, the world is your oyster and you can achieve anything you want. In fact, us being Africans, us having the both households makes us so unique and so powerful and make use of it.
That's good. Well said. It's very difficult for people to get successful these days without, trying to take the other way. You know what I'm saying? So how do you stay grounded as a person whilst chasing success? I mean, how do you stay grounded in faith whilst chasing success?
I I see God as a giver of everything. He's the source. He gives me life. He gives me strength. He opens the door for me. So that for me is my foundation. So anytime I might be tempted, I mean, people have come with all sorts of propositions for me. Um, I realize that he might use me as a lesson because everybody can do it and get away with it. But maybe if I go and do it, it's gonna blow. So not just the fear of being caught, but also just knowing that God does everything in his own time, be it marriage, be it childbearing, be it whatever it is. I just trust that he has a plan for my life and he will manifest. Yeah.
Good. Just want to say nice having you on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Great. So today's conversation is shows something powerful. You don't have to choose between faith and success. You don't have to shrink into the system. You can stand, grow, and lead fully in who you are. If this conversation spoke to you, like I said, subscribe and keep watching to Lapotee TV so that will bring you more of this. Thank you.